I should like to depart temporarily from the Sikha text to provide some background to the Gemara's understanding to Bereshit 49:1. That there was a plan A to reveal details of the Achrit Hayamim, and on account of the departure of the Shekhinah, Yaakov then moves into plan B, in which he blesses his 12 sons. Both the content and the obligation to recite the Shema is based upon Devarim Perek 6, in which Moshe, addressing the nation in the first of 3 monologues prior to his death, states Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. In this context, the term Yisrael is used by Moshe as referring to the nation as a whole, that they are obligated to Shema, understand, accept that Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. He then goes on to transmit a series of commandments, V'yahavata et Hashem Elokecha, Chol levavecha v'chol nafshecha v'chol medecha, the obligation to teach Torah, MITZVAT Tefillin, and MITZVAT Mezuzah. Of interest is the insertion of a single line, not part of the text of Devarim, and in fact words that are not to be found anywhere in the Tanakh, the 6 words, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Nowadays the halachic system takes for granted the insertion of these 6 words, but this has not always been the case. In Masechet Pesachim Perek Daled, we have a Mishnah, one that appears to predate the Tanaic era. In that Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi records the minhagim of the Jewish community of Yericho, that there were 6 minhagim instituted by the Anshe Yericho, for which al shlosha michu biyadam, 3 of the 6 were rejected by the halachic authorities of the day, in other words, could not be included in normative Judaism, ve'al shlosha lo michu biyadam, while the other 3, they, the halachic authority, lo michu, did not take a position that would have forced the Anshe Yericho to cease and desist. One of the 3 minhagim not banned by the Chachamim was the act of korchim et Shema, for which there is a machloket in the Gemara as to what specifically the Anshe Yericho did or did not do with respect to the MITZVAT Kriyat Shema. The commonly accepted view is that they did not allow for the insertion of the Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Their position had merit in that there is no textual basis for the insertion of these 6 words. Hence, Lo Michu Biyadam, the ruling authorities could not justify the banning of this minhag. Mainstream Judaism of the day, it seems, retained the custom of the insertion of the Baruch Shem Kavod. The Gemara component of this Mishnah predictably asks the question, V'anan my taimam rinan lei, why is it that the Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuta Le'olam Va'ed has been inserted into the Shema? It's a rhetorical question, for which the Gemara goes on to inform us that it is based upon a midrashic source attributed to Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, who maintains that when Yaakov, upon his deathbed, summons his sons, telling them that, Hey asfu v'agida lachem, I am now going to inform you of information regarding the Achrit Hayamim, Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish understands this to suggest that Bikesh Yaakov legalot lebanav ketz hayamin. Yaakov intended to reveal to his sons information regarding the end of days. V'nistalka mimeno shchina. This involved prophecy, involved the presence of God. Suddenly the Shekhinah departed. And to Yaakov this was to be interpreted as an omen. Amar, Yaakov says, that perhaps the reason that the Shekhinah departed was on account of the fact that Chas v'shalom yesh b'mitati pesul. Mitati, a bed, a euphemism for offspring. Pesul, a blemish. Perhaps Yaakov articulated that one or more of his children had elected to reject monotheism, ki Avraham, similar to the situation with his grandfather Avraham, sheyatza mimeno Yishmael. He had 2 children, one of which, Yishmael, parted company both physically and religiously from Avraham. So too Vavi Yitzchak, his own father Yitzchak, where also, in this case, Esav, parted company from the commitments of the family to monotheism. And therefore, on account of the fact that of the 12 sons, 1 or more had rejected monotheism, there was a sudden departure of the Shekhinah. In response, Amru lo banav, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Yisrael in this context, referring to Yaakov, his sons reassure him that Kashem she'ein b'libacha ela echad, just as the centrality of your belief is in a single entity, Kach ein bilibenu ela echad. We also have accepted as one the belief in a single God. Be'ota sha'a, upon hearing this affirmation from his 12 sons, Patach Yaakov Avinu ve'amar, Yaakov Avinu responds with the words Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed, as an expression of thanks upon hearing the assurance that there was no blemish to be found amongst any of his children, and hence the departure of the Shekhinah must be attributed to other causes. It's an interesting fill-in medrash relating to the issues of continuity. However, it did pose a problem for the Sanhedrin. Amru Rabbanan, Heichina Avid. What are we now to do? To include or not to include the Baruch Shem? Numruhu, if we decide to include it, we have a problem that lo Amru Moshe Rabbeinu. The fact is, if we accept the incident of Yaakov and his sons as having a basis, the reality is that when Moshe Rabbeinu, using the same words used by Yaakov Avinu, did not include the Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. If, however, lo nomruhu, if a decision is not to include it, we have a problem that in reality the original source for this statement of Shema Yisrael was Yaakov, and Yaakov did insert the Baruch Shem Kavod. A compromise was reached that it was to be inserted as part of the tefillah, but its recitation should be in an undertone, in a whisper, which is the basis for the present-day minhag, the one exception being on the day of Yom Kippur, which for whatever the reason the custom is to recite the Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto by all out loud and in unison. In his commentary, Rashi ignores the entire incident regarding Yaakov and his sons, possibly because it is midrashic in nature and Rashi is bound to the Pshuta Shel Mikra. However, he does write that Bikesh Yaakov legalot et haketz v'nistalka mimeno shchina, a slight variation from the Gemara's wording that Yaakov wished to reveal, or as some would have it, bring into the real world the ketz, the Yemot HaMashiach. Unfortunately, v'nistalka mimeno shchina, he was not able to do so on account of the fact that the Shekhinah departed from him. Which brings us back to the core difficulty raised by the Rebbe regarding the sequence of events of a plan A, a departure, and a plan B. What evidence do we have that Achret Hayamim refers to the Messianic era, that there was a need for the Shekhinah, which on account of its departure forced Yaakov into a plan B in which he proceeded to bless his 12 sons.